Okay, so there are some terms that we need to go over before we get into the next section. And I might be going back and forth on slides, so bear with me. And remember, you can always pause and rewind me. So, what does opposite mean? In math, opposite means two numbers are opposites of each other if they are the same distance from zero on the number line, but on opposite sides. So the opposite of 3 is -3. The opposite of -5 is 5. So if I were to, I know the book kind of says it in an interesting way, but if we had a number line and it's saying the same distance from zero, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Okay, so it's this if they're opposites of one another if they have the same distance from zero. So how many places do I have to walk to get to zero? 1, 2, 3. And even though I'm at a negative number, to get to zero, I still have to walk 1, 2, 3. There's no way to measure distance. There's no negative distance. There's no way to measure it with like a negative number. There's no negative feet, negative inches, right? So that's why we always count that. So if you did it with -5, -3, -215, and +215, those are opposites of one another. Now, reciprocal. This is a term that you maybe heard in, I don't know, maybe elementary, not sure, but for sure probably in middle school and then in algebra. But the book, of course, says this in an interesting way. They're saying if P is a rational number that is not zero, then the reciprocal of P is the number 1 over P. Remember that I told you in higher mathematics classes, they start to use letters to represent any kind of example. But don't let that scare you. This looks like interesting, but it makes a lot of sense. Whenever you have a fraction, let's say 2 over 3. This is a fraction, that's good to go. That is a rational number, 3. But if I had 2 over 0 or 115 over 0, these are not possible. You can never have 0 in the denominator, ever. So they're just saying for any fraction here, as long as it's not 0, P could never be 0. Okay. So let's say you have 3. What's the reciprocal of 3? It's always 1 over whatever your number is. 1 over 3. These are reciprocals of one another. Basically, you're flipping. That's what a lot of students use the word flip, is when you flip the number. Well, why is there a 1 then? Because remember that any number, I can make any single number that is not written in a fraction form a fraction, because technically this number is 3 over 1. We just don't write it that way because there's no need to. 3 divided by 1 is 3. So I don't need to write 3 divided by 1 every time I write just a single solid number, 3. I'm not going to write 4 over 1, 5 over 1, 6 over 1. We don't need to do that. Okay, so again, what reciprocal is when you, whatever number that you have, as long as it's not 0, you flip the number and it looks something like this. Okay, unless you already have like, let's say 2 over 3, the reciprocal of 2 over 3 is 3 over 2. So it doesn't always have to be a 1. They just did 1 if it's, let's just say, the number 5. The reciprocal of 5 is 1 over 5. Let's say we had 3 over 4. The reciprocal of 3 over 4 is 4 over 3.